But right now, what we want to do is take you out to Los Angeles right now, where we are learning more from city officials here on the tense standoff moments between ICE and LA officials in the city as these ICE operations continue. Let's listen in.
Just yesterday, there was an extraordinary escalation and an apparently completely performative show of force in MacArthur Park, not because of any criminal activity that warranted that kind of display of force. To the contrary, it was done cruelly at a time of day when the only activity going on in MacArthur Park was a summer camp for kids. And that's what the display was about. Immigrants are our family members. They are our neighbors, our co-workers, our classmates, our colleagues. The scale of these raids and the tactics that are being used are not a response to any threat level. Local law enforcement for this kind of force would require a showing of real threat. That's not what's happening here. This seems to be designed to be aggressive, to instill fear, not responsive to respond to a threat. So we are here today because of the tactics and the disproportionate force being used by the federal government in our communities. We stand as one community. These unconstitutional roundups and raids cannot be allowed to continue. They cannot become the new normal. This cannot become routine to send militarized troops into our streets without reasonable suspicion, without probable cause, to round people up and take them away. As Los Angeles City Attorney, I lead one of the nation's largest municipal law offices. I am the first Latina in this role, and so this issue hits particularly close to home for me. Mi corazón en este tiempo está y resta y se queda con mi pueblo y con toda comunidad inmigrante. My heart goes out to my people and to every immigrant community across our city. These federal operations have already damaged the trust between law enforcement and our communities, our residents. We have been using every tool available in my office to fight back. We have filed amicus briefs in the Attorney General's suit up north. We have supported the government's request for a temporary restraining order there, and we have moved to intervene in the ACLU Public Counsel lawsuit down here. We intervened in a lawsuit called Vasquez Perdomo versus Noem regarding 5 individuals and 3 immigrant representation membership organizations asserting the violation of rights under the 4th and 5th Amendment. We as jurisdiction not only support our residents in stopping these unconstitutional practices, but we in effect assert our own rights under the 10th Amendment and as jurisdictions that have ultimately local control over our police powers. We all owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to Munger, Tolles, and Olson, especially Dan Levin, John Schwab, and Martina Estrada for representing us so well and for the public good. I do want to close by thanking members of my team because you don't do this alone. So from my Chief Deputy, Valerie Flores, to my Municipal Branch Chief, Mike Dundas, Public Rights Chief, Michael Bostrom, and Deputy City Attorneys Randall Summer, Ria Cousineau, and Supra Chief Puri, to Danette Garcia, Karen Richardson, and Ivor Pine for letting us put this together. This is our trumpet call to action. Our communities will not continue to be abused in this manner. And with that, I'd like to take a moment to introduce my mayor, Karen Bass.
Good afternoon, everyone. I don't want to say it's my pleasure to be here with you because it's not. It seems like day after day we're up here saying the same thing. But I want to begin by thanking our city attorney for her leadership, her fortitude, and her determination to make sure that the Constitution is upheld in the city of Los Angeles. We are united with the other cities in the region, and by the way, that started from day one. When the first raids happened on June 6th, we immediately reached out to our colleagues in other cities. We have 88 cities in our county, and knowing that what was happening in LA would soon be in other cities as well, we wanted to make sure that we were all kind of on the same page, all had the information. But what we have experienced over these last few weeks has just been shocking. As the city attorney mentioned yesterday, seeing troops, some on horseback, ride through a children's summer camp, disrupting that, traumatizing the kids, although we don't know if they actually knew. We hope they didn't, because they were ushered downstairs out of the public eye in order to be protected from their military. And I will tell you, I talked to one youngster, 8 years old. I just went up and talked to him, and he immediately started expressing the fears he has over ICE, unsolicited, and I don't think that he was aware of what happened. But you have a situation now where people are walking down the street, a car will pull up, no license plate, men will jump out completely masked, pull guns on whoever it is, and take them away. Aside from the fact that this is unconstitutional, how do we know the difference between this and a kidnapping? And so it creates a public safety problem, because if individuals in the city, and this has already happened, call it up and report it as a kidnapping, then you have LAPD go out, and then you have a mess, which has happened several times, that could put many people in danger. So I think, once upon a time we had checks and balances in our country. Now I say, instead of three co-equal branches of the government, it seems as though we just have one branch of the government. We have the administration. The House and the Senate, essentially, they gave their gavels over to Pennsylvania Avenue. And what the president did in the first administration significantly altered the courts. Having said that, the courts we will still go to for a remedy as we are today. It is critical that we use every single venue, every single possibility of seeking justice, and that's what we're doing today. And I do hope that the courts especially issue this injunction and stop this. But one thing about our city, and I say this every time because I think it's so important, our city is definitely united. You don't see dissension here. You see a city that is united because this is who we are. We are a city of immigrants, and we will stand with Angelenos regardless of what country they came from, when they got here, or why they're here. And so with that, I am proud to stand in unity as we file this lawsuit and seek justice, and hopefully that will come in the form of an injunction. Thank you.
And now, a city that is the third largest city in our county and that has been the site of many of these unprovoked raids. I'm proud to introduce Mayor Victor Gordo of Pasadena.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney and colleagues. Mayor Bass, I'm joined here by our own city attorney in Pasadena, Michelle Bonaris. Let me just say that what is occurring in our country, and certainly in Pasadena and Los Angeles in our region, is unacceptable. Not too long ago, we had 3 gentlemen who were on their way to work in the burn area in Altadena, sitting at a bus stop, what I say is enjoying the breakfast of champions, donuts, juice, and milk, and waiting for the bus to pick them up to go help our alien community in the burn area. And they were picked up by armed and masked men in Pasadena, who also pulled a gun out on a resident in Pasadena and aimed that gun towards that resident. Behind that resident was a parking lot, a sidewalk full of people. Behind them, a parking lot in front of a grocery store, 2 blocks from my home where my family and I shop. It's unacceptable in my neighborhood. It's unacceptable in every neighborhood in this county, in this state, and I would say to you, the country and the world. For an armed man to jump out of a vehicle, not identify themselves, wield a weapon towards innocent bystanders. Imagine the parade of terribles if that officer or agent had tripped accidentally or intentionally pulled the trigger, missed, and an errant bullet would have gone into that crowd, the parking lot, and or the grocery store. It's absolutely unacceptable. Following those actions, a woman on her way to work on a Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning, I should say, to help terminally ill and infirm seniors, was snatched up from our streets. A woman who had been here for close to 30 years. Both of her children are U.S. citizens. She's raising them here, actually 4 children. And she was snatched up as she was going to work to help our infirm and terminally ill seniors. That's just unacceptable. It's un-American, and it can't continue to happen. And so we're calling on the federal government together, and I thank all of my colleagues for standing with us and saying this has to end. As mayor of, and the first Latino mayor of the great city of Pasadena, I'm offended for our city by the federal government on behalf of our city and our region. As an attorney, I'm offended by the complete violation of due process in our constitutional rights. As an immigrant, I'm offended by the immorality and the plain out just dismissal of people who are here to contribute and want to help, as my family did, as I did, build a great nation. And so I join my colleagues, and again, thank them all and thank all of you for standing with us and saying there's no room for hate in our cities. There's no room for hate in our state, our country, or the world. Thank you.
And now it's also my pleasure to introduce Mayor Salvador Melendez of the city of Montebello.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sal Melendez, Mayor for the city of Montebello. Today I stand before you to affirm the city of Montebello's unwavering commitment to protecting the dignity, safety, and constitutional rights of every individual in our community. It is with that responsibility in mind that I am here in a collective legal effort to challenge the unlawful immigration rates that have been occurring in all of our communities. These raids carried out in and around our neighborhoods, including at and near our courthouses, have not only sown fear, confusion, and trauma, but they also violate the very constitutional protections that are bestowed in our Constitution. And that's constitutional protections that every resident, regardless of status, is entitled under the law. These are actions that defy the spirit of due process, public safety, and local control. We have been in collaboration with the City of Los Angeles, amongst many of the neighboring cities, to ensure that the specific experiences and impacts faced by the City of Montebello are accurately reflected and represented in the formal legal complaint that has been filed. The lawsuit seeks to hold federal agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, accountable for policies and practices that violate the 4th and 10th Amendments of the United States Constitution and the Administrative Procedure Act. And let me be clear, we cannot allow families to be torn apart without due process, and we cannot stand silent while the constitutional rights of our residents are trampled. Montebello is proud to join this united front, and we stand with our fellow cities and with every resident who believes in fair, just, and humane legal system. Our message to our community is simple. You belong here, you are protected, and we will fight for you. Thank you for having me here.
And it is with great pleasure that I introduce someone who I knew before either of us was elected, the mayor of West Hollywood, Chelsea Byers.
Good afternoon. My name is Chelsea Byers. I am the mayor for the city of West Hollywood, a city that has proudly been a sanctuary city since the time of our founding for both immigrants and LGBTQ individuals. The city of West Hollywood unequivocally condemns the ongoing ICE raids that are targeting immigrant families across our region. West Hollywood experienced an ICE raid on the 4th of July at a beloved local car wash. What we saw was deeply inhumane treatment of beloved community members and workers, and what we are sitting with now is fear and heartbreak. These actions are not only disruptive, they are also discriminatory and deeply destabilizing to our communities. They sow fear in our neighborhoods, divide families, and undermine public trust in the rule of law and due process. We have real needs going unmet: food assistance, health care, housing support, and rental assistance. But this is what the federal government wants to do to our communities? Unacceptable. West Hollywood stands with cities across the region in rejecting these tactics. We reaffirm our commitment to protecting the dignity, the rights, and the humanity of all people, regardless of immigration status. And we are proud to join this lawsuit and stand in solidarity with cities across this region and across this country in pushing back and challenging this inhumanity. Thank you.
And next, someone else I knew from before we were both elected, Vice Mayor of Culver City, Freddy Puzo.
Thank you. Freddy Puzo from Culver City. I'm the Vice Mayor. Mayor O'Brien wanted to be here today, but had a scheduling conflict. Today, Culver City is proud to stand with the City of Los Angeles and a coalition of cities across the region in taking action against the Trump administration's unlawful and inhumane ICE raids. Thank you to the City of Los Angeles City Attorney's Office for taking the lead on this action. These raids are terrorizing communities, separating families, and violating basic civil and human rights. They are not about safety, they are about fear. And we refuse to let that fear define who we are. As a smaller city, some might wonder what difference Culver City can make, because every city, large or small, has a responsibility to defend people who live and work within its borders. And when cities of all sizes join together, we become impossible to ignore. Culver City has been a place that values inclusion, compassion, and justice. Joining this litigation is not only a legal step, it's a moral line. We're drawing a line. We are saying that the people in our communities, immigrants, refugees, mixed status families, deserve without fear of being torn apart. Ultimately, this is about humanity, and Culver City and this coalition of cities is proud to stand on the right side of history. Thank you.
And our final scheduled speaker, it's my pleasure to introduce the Mayor Pro Tem from the City of Monterey Park, Elizabeth Yang.
Good afternoon, everyone. Elizabeth Yang, Mayor Pro Tem of Monterey Park. It is my pleasure and honor on behalf of Monterey Park to join in this federal lawsuit in partnership with all of our sister cities who have also signed on against the federal unlawful immigration enforcement that has been happening in our community. I stand here with Los Angeles and cities across California because what's happening here is not okay. Monterey Park is 66% Asian American population, and we are here to stand in solidarity with all of our other immigrant communities in support of this federal lawsuit. It is not okay to rip children from their classrooms, away from their families. It's not okay to kidnap people off our streets without warrants, leaving their families not knowing their whereabouts. It is not okay to terrorize entire communities because of where people were born. These actions by our federal government violate our Constitution, destroy families, and sow fear in cities like ours, cities built by immigrants like my own family who are seeking a better life in our country. Monterey Park is joining this lawsuit to defend due process, preserve local authority, and protect every resident's dignity and safety. We will not be bullied. We will not be silent. We stand united for justice, for dignity, and for the right of every person to live free from fear. Thank you.
I think those were all of our scheduled speakers. I again want to thank everyone who is here. especially the lawyers from Munger who put this all together on our behalf. I think we're happy to take a few questions, and if you want to ask of anybody up here, I may punt to Munger on a couple of them, but that's okay. Yes, sir.
What's the constitutional grounds for this suit? Are you concerned about the law is unconstitutional or the tactics for the execution of the law are unconstitutional?
The tactics that are currently being used, the roundups, the raids without reasonable suspicion or probable cause, the fact that they are coming into our communities with the military. They have troops on our streets. They're no longer confined to federal buildings. Originally, the federal troops were in, the federalized National Guard was to protect federal property. That doesn't really explain the horseback ride across the park yesterday. So we are concerned about how they are carrying out immigration enforcement. We are not interfering with immigration enforcement. For decades, whether it was an administrative warrant or it was a court warrant, the way immigration enforcement happened was that your name was on a warrant, and the immigration agents would come and arrest you. They didn't come to our streets and sweep people up indiscriminately, and that's what we object to.
You pointed out the fact they came in on horseback. Do you know if those were actual military forces?
We believe that there were National Guard. We have not identified Marines, if that's the question.
What happens if they're Border Patrol?
Some of them are California Border Patrol. They still shouldn't be conducting immigration operations on our street without reasonable suspicion or probable cause. It is supposed to be targeted to individuals, not going through a summer camp for school children. Next question.
I want to ask a question of Mayor Bass. Over to Mayor Bass, earlier today I spoke to a property owner who has a lot of property around MacArthur Park.
I know exactly who that was, but go ahead.
So he says that he felt like yesterday's action was warranted. What do you say to people who say that what happened yesterday was warranted because the city has not done enough to address crime and drugs in and around?
Well, so let me just say to that one individual that crime has been down in double digits to the extent of 40%, and I'll get you the most current statistics around MacArthur Park. There have been major seizures of stolen goods to the tune of over $300,000. Regardless, we have a Los Angeles Police Department. We do not need the Custom and Border Patrol coming through lined up in military fashion and doing absolutely nothing, because after their performance, they left. And what was interesting was that, they chose to come in the park on the side of the camp, not where the sides where there have been issues. So one individual, that's all I have to say.
May I address that on behalf of Pasadena? If I may, what's dangerous and offensive about three gentlemen with no criminal history sitting on a bus bench waiting to go to work, eating donuts, milk? What's offensive and dangerous about a gentleman washing cars in another part of our community? What's dangerous about a wet towel as he's drying off a car? I would say to you, nothing. And the tactics that are being employed, there's absolutely no room for military-style tactics to be used against people who are just trying to work and prepare themselves to go to work.
Has your city or any other city asked of the federal government to give you statistics as to how many of the people who have been detained actually have a criminal record?
We have. Our police chief has attempted to make contact with federal agencies, and the phone is simply not being answered in Los Angeles or in Washington, D.C.